Internet. This is Gig Pata with LRM Online for the next episode of Bingewatch. One of the films that I want to cover today is a movie called Mortal. It's actually available today, and the film actually follows sort of a man who somehow was missing and was found in Norway after an incident on a farm. And then they start to discover that he has certain type of powers per se that may actually lead to some kind of Norwegian legend, which hintfully is Thor. This film is fascinating. It's not only that it is a Thor-like type of film without being a comic book film. It actually relies much more on the Norwegian legends of Thor to this character. And the character that we're talking about is being played by Nat Wolff, who is being assisted by sort of like a psychologist being played by Eben Ackerley, a Norwegian actress that a lot of us here in the United States will be unfamiliar with. The best thing about this film, it is directed by Andre Overdal, a Scandinavian director who brought us the films such as Troll Hunter, Autopsy of Jane Doe, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And all of those films are horror films. So I want to say that this is the first time I would see Andre's work outside of the horror genre, which is quite refreshing. Now, the story itself is fascinating is because there are ties to the fact that the character is starting to discover these type of powers. And some of the powers that the character starts to discover are some things like lightning bolts, controlling the storms, and so on. And there's a few sort of like, how can you say, tie-ins to the legend of Thor himself. Now, they don't utilize everything of the legendary legends of Thor, such as, like brute strength or the sense of flight. I'm not familiar with the Norwegian legend, but I am familiar with the comic book Thor, and that's what comic book Thor actually has. So in this case, they tried to make a more grounded approach towards a man trying to discover his powers. And obviously, throughout this entire course, there are untrusting government agents that how can you say, are fearful of what would happen if this actually gets out to the public, because it would cause paranoia or mayhem or chaos. So in this case, the government agent here is being played by a U.S. agent by an Indian actress named Priyanka Rose, who is trying to sidestep and trying to put a stop to his discovery. The film is actually nicely done. I believe that the special effects, the CGI effects, are pretty good, and it does actually compel you to see how this man's journey actually would be to discover himself, whether if he is or is not Thor or the second coming of Christ per se. And then obviously there has to be some kind of twist at the end of the film. What I didn't like is sort of like an arbitrary villain of a U.S. government agent who's trying to put a stop to any of this, because one, it is sort of a Norwegian story and tale, and secondly, I don't even know why there were U.S. agents in Norway in the first place to even be taking care of this business. It's not even our jurisdiction or our expertise to meddle in godlike affairs. It should have just been a sort of like a Norwegian thing. Nat Wolff, I think he did a good job playing the character who's trying to discover himself. I think he was a little bit fairly young for the part, but of course the character was unspecified on age and looks and anything else. But however, the character sometimes becomes kind of like a little bit overboard because the character is suffering from anxiety attacks, which is the cause for being certain powers being unleashed. I was actually much more impressed with the actress Ibn Akali, who plays the psychologist, who's trying to basically throughout the entire film calm him down, and hopefully down the road we would get to see her a little bit more of her in whether it's much more in the Scandinavian film side, or perhaps maybe she could open more doors for herself into the English and an American film markets. So overall, this film I do actually like. I do like the grounded take of a story of Thor, which is not comic bookish. However, there were some twists at the end that I just didn't to agree with, where they were taking the story with it, and I was really hoping much more of a concrete resolution to the film of Mortal. So overall, the grade that I would actually give Mortal would actually be a B. I highly recommend that it is a film that people can actually check out because it is different. It is something that it's not too comic bookish, and the special effects were actually good, and they actually kept you interested in the film to see what the next twist and turns are. Anyways, this is thank you for watching Binge Watch here at LRM Online. I'm Gig Pata. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, bye now.